Hey, Sportsnet community, me again, Donnovan Bennett. It is February 28th, and we are celebrating Black History Month here at Sportsnet. We've done that throughout the month. We've done that in conjunction with many people, one including Canada Basketball, who have been great partners as we continue to tell stories this month, throughout the month. And we've done that a couple ways, certainly with articles, with videos, and with these IG live chats. And so thank you so much for being a part of them. We're doing one today in conjunction with the Black Queen herself, Laeticia Amihere, who has been in one of our great Black History Month features, Black Girl Magic. If you haven't seen it, please go online and check it out. And we would just want to have these conversations to remember that not only are we recognizing Black history, but we're celebrating Black history as it's being made live in front of us. So Laeticia will join us in a little bit. We're going to have a cool, casual conversation with her, celebrate all of her success. A couple housekeeping things. If you've got some questions, feel free to ask them throughout this, as we want to keep this get a loose conversation with Laeticia, someone who you care to hear from more so than me. And there she is herself, the Black Queen. Hey, how are you?
I'm
Happy
good.
Black History Month.
Thank you. Happy Black History Month.
Yeah, we got to celebrate all 28 days. So thank you for jumping on. And congrats on all your success, both with the Gamecocks of South Carolina and with our national program. Both, have been playing really well and got some big trophies ahead of you to win. But before we get to kind of what you're doing on the court, I wonder, who inspired you as a up-and-coming female athlete? Were there some role models, some specifically Black female role models that you saw, as you were coming up?
Yeah, certainly. When I first started basketball, I kind of just playing. It was mainly my brothers that were my inspiration. But once I got more into Canada basketball and playing with like Marie Langlois, Kia Nurse, Natalie Ashanwa, those are kind of my role models throughout Canada basketball. Just kind of try to follow in their footsteps as a 15-year-old, not knowing what the heck is going on, just looking at their game and seeing how they lead off and on the court.
No question. We get that inspiration from sport. I'm in my basement, and you can see here I got like a Donnovan Bailey, poster in the back, because as a kid, I saw that inspiration through sport. What I love about our basketball program right now, men's and women's, is the majority of the players first and second generation Canadians. Families came here looking to make a better life, and now they're representing our country on the highest stage and bringing us pride. What's it feel like for you to be a part of that movement that we're seeing with our national program?
It's a great honor. Every time that Canada comes on, we belt it, see Nad and all my teammates is a big smile, just pride to be able to sing that national anthem and put that Canada jersey on, and all the hard work that my parents did to come into this country, and a country that welcomed them with open arms, and us being able to represent that country, and it kind of represents all the hard work they put in. So it's a great pride to represent Canada.
So I see Kyle Parkinson, one of the young bucks at Sportsnet, coming up. Shout out to him. You're still in your university career, but in training camp, this fall, last summer, you guys had some younger athletes come through, and they mentioned that your ascension to the national program is something that they already are taking inspiration from. I know you're still technically a young part of the program, but the fact that there's some people coming up after you, well, how does that make you feel, that you're already a bit of representation and a role model for some on the younger side of the junior program?
Yeah, it's kind of like a domino effect. Kia was the first one. She was a youngin going into the senior program, and then I was named one of the youngest to be in the senior program. So just kind of paving the way for girls coming behind me and being able to see that it's possible. Even doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter kind of what country or what background you have, just being able to come here and represent your country, even at the youngest, when you're young and being able to do at the highest level. It's not always easy to compete with them, but you definitely get better. I got way better, got stronger. My IQ got wiser as well. So it's kind of like a domino effect, and I'm happy that I'm able to pave the way for other youngins.
Whether it's Kia, what she's doing at the grassroots level, with her, team, whether it's Natalie Chanwa, her representation, using her voice, as a player, both in the bubble, but afterwards talking about social justice, and now doing a great job with us with Sportsnet as a broadcaster. There is such a culture around not even just women on our national team, but Black women in sports. Period. You all summarized that really well, talking in our Black Girl Magic feature. For those who haven't seen it, it's on our Black History Month page, sportsnet.ca/BHM. It's also on YouTube. But give them the live right now. For you, what does Black Girl Magic mean to you? When you hear that term, what does it represent?
I think it's just being proud of who you are. In an age where there's just so much controversy about the color of our skin, but being able to go out there, I know in many circumstances, might be the only person of color on your basketball team or in your area, and being able to just be proud of who you are and proud of kind of what you represent. And like we talk about with Canada basketball, it's just something that you represent something bigger than yourself, but also just as a Black woman, you represent, all the Black girls that are looking up to me as a Black role model. And it's great to be able to be that. But it carries a lot of weight because you are trying to pave a positive image wherever you go. So just in light of being a Black Girl Magic, I think it's not only just on the basketball court, but also advocating off the court. Like you mentioned, Natalie Tron was a great advocate. But being able to excel throughout whatever we do and have power and pride in that.
Your coach at South Carolina, another great example, a great advocate. What's it like for you to see it, firsthand and be able to learn from it at school?
She inspires me a lot. Not only on the basketball court, off the basketball court, she's such a great advocate. She does so much in the community and so much in basketball. She's such an advocate for gender equity, and whether it comes to just race, and even with everything that was going on last year, being able to have sit down conversations and have those tough conversations, because it is hard to have those conversations when it kind of feels awkward talking about these topics. But having a coach that's so passionate about what's going on in the world, it opens your eyes and it forces you to listen and want to learn more about what's going on.
No question. Shout out to Dawn Staley. We got to give her flowers. We've got to give you your flowers as well. We talked about Black Magic and that pressure. The Black Queen, like having that nickname and that moniker. Where did it come from? You're certainly owning it, but how did you get that name?
It started really young. I remember just Black Mamba and all those things, like just a combination of that. I remember just having that and looking to that, and I'm like, I want something similar. I want something that kind of represents me. And if you guys know me, I take pride in my culture and my roots. My mom's from Ivory Coast and my dad's from Ghana. And in Mississauga, there's a festival called Kearsarge, and my mom's really big into that, and she really kind of raised us in our African roots. It's something I take pride in, and I partake in a lot of Black History Month events because of her. She's done that at my school every year. So that kind of just being proud of who I am, and kind of putting myself on a pedestal when it comes to just my Blackness and who I am as a Black woman. I think it's inspiring, and I think that's something that's been powerful, and people have clung to it. So, I go by that now.
I love it. I love it. We did a story with, Masai Ujiri and some of, the African players in and around the NBA, talking about, not just the culture back home, but how, the African culture has influenced, whether it's film or Afro-pop and music taking over the charts. And certainly you see it in basketball on both the men's and women's side. What is that like, to see something like sport changing the narrative of what the continent is about, when historically, through media, the continent wasn't shown always in a favorable light like that?
Well, first I'd say Masai is one of my biggest role models. He has inspired just my whole journey off the court. It really just started with his organization called Giants of Africa, and just kind of being involved with that. I know they hosted some camps in Toronto just for underserved community. But what he does for the continent is crucial, because there's not many resources that are allocated for basketball in particular. I know soccer is a really big thing there, but basketball and other sports are kind of put on the back burner just because of lack of resources. And him coming out to these countries and hosting camps and kind of shedding light is huge because there's so much talent back there. Serge Ibaka is one of the products of those camps and all those type of players that come to the NBA because of Giants of Africa being able to just get that exposure. So I think it's so important to be able to shed that positive light in that continent because it's always shown in the media as something that, war-torn, poverty, all those things. But there's so much talent, there's so many resources back in Africa. And he's inspired me to kind of pursue that. Even right now, I'm kind of pursuing sports management as my degree, but that's definitely something that I want to do when I'm done basketball. And even, after I'm playing professionally, just being able to work alongside companies like Giants of Africa, NBA Care that go back to Africa and, host camps and allocate resources and shed a positive light to it.
Love it. Kath M17 says, love Masai and cosign. Love Masai, love what he represents, love what he's doing. Before I let you go, there's another piece that came out, about black hair for women in sport. And I'm going to be honest, even as a black man, that is not even something that I was cognizant of. The fact that whether it's swimming or track and field or basketball, part of the barriers of entry for black women is you got to think about your hair for competition and making sure it's straight. We see you, hair did, nails did, everything done, looking great. But is that something that you had to think about, whether it's coming through high school or in college, just making sure that, unlike some of your counterparts, you can't just put it in a ponytail and go. You got to make sure the hair is right before you compete.
Yeah, the whole idea of looking polished, looking polished to the eyes of the beholder, as you would say, but polish has kind of had a negative connotation when it comes to black women. Afros have not been deemed as polished. Having your hair out natural has not been deemed as polished. So there's kind of this business-like persona to you as an athlete because you're not only an athlete, but you have a brand. So having that negative connotation with the word polished or business-like has always carried us as black women. And even not only me as a basketball player, I don't experience as much as people that perform ballet, people that are swimmers, like you said. Cheerleaders are one of the biggest ones when it comes to that because, it has been such a white dominated sport that it has kind of had to shape to the new age of new cheerleaders coming out and wanting to wear the afros and not having to damage their hair by straightening it and looking the part, which is another word that has had a negative connotation, looking the part. So all those different things is something that a lot of people don't realize and don't have to deal with because they don't really see it. They don't have that experience every day. So as a black woman, like I said, there's so much weight on your shoulders because you got to think about, being an athlete, being a student, but you also have to think about other things that wrap around that.
Well said. Well, listen, it is Feb 28th. It is technically the last day of Black History Month, but Black History always, Black History every day. We will continue to celebrate you every day and give you your flowers. We call her the Black Queen. That's for a reason. So continue to shine so bright, both as a Gamecock and as a representation of Canada basketball. Thank you. We're watching you on your quest to the NCAA tourney, but also to the World Cup as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Stay locked to Sportsnet for more great content.